The drift problem. How people slowly become someone they never intended to be. In Mr. Stick's framework, very few people wake up one morning and consciously decide, I want to waste my potential. I want to become stagnant. I want to spend years moving in circles. That's almost never how it happens. What usually happens is far quieter. A slow drift, small compromises, repeated distractions, comfortable routines, unquestioned habits. And over time, a person slowly moves away from who they once intended to become. Not dramatically, gradually. That is what makes drift dangerous. The nature of drift. Drift does not announce itself. It does not arrive looking destructive. In fact, it often feels normal. You delay something important. You become slightly less disciplined. You stop pushing yourself. You settle into routine. Nothing feels catastrophic in the moment, which is why people ignore it. But repeated over years, small shifts in direction create completely different outcomes. The illusion of later. One of the most dangerous phrases in human behavior is, I'll deal with it later. Later I'll get serious. Later I'll become disciplined. Later I'll start building. But later has a strange habit of becoming permanent. Not because people are incapable, because delay slowly becomes identity. The comfort expansion effect. Comfort expands quietly. At first, rest feels temporary. Then it becomes preference. Then preference becomes routine. Then routine becomes lifestyle. Eventually, discomfort itself starts to feel unnatural. That is when growth slows down, because growth almost always requires friction. The loss of tension. Every meaningful life requires tension. Not chaos, not suffering. Tension. The tension of discipline, responsibility, movement, intentional effort. When people lose all tension, they often lose direction. Life becomes passive, reactive, repeated. The drift into passive living. Passive living is dangerous because it feels harmless. You stop choosing intentionally. You simply respond. Respond to entertainment, routine, convenience, immediate emotion, and eventually, years pass without deliberate construction of your life. You become shaped by environment instead of shaped by vision. The identity erosion. Drift affects identity slowly. People begin abandoning things quietly. Standards, goals, discipline, curiosity, ambition. Not all at once. One layer at a time. Until eventually they become unfamiliar with the version of themselves they once imagined. That realization is painful, especially when someone realizes, I had more potential than this. The financial consequence. Even though drift begins psychologically, it eventually affects every area of life, especially financially, because drifting people delay action, avoid structure, consume passively, stop thinking long-term, which leads to instability, dependency, lack of ownership, years of stagnation. Not because they made one catastrophic mistake, because they stopped moving intentionally. The environment reinforcement problem. Drift becomes stronger when surrounded by passive people. People who normalize mediocrity, mock discipline, avoid growth, celebrate comfort. Eventually, stagnation starts to feel normal. And once something feels normal, people stop questioning it. That is how entire environments become trapped in cycles without realizing it. The recovery point. The good news is this. Drift can be reversed, but reversal begins with awareness. A person must first stop and honestly ask, am I intentionally building my life or slowly drifting through it? That question alone can interrupt years of unconscious behavior. The return of intentionality. Intentional people move differently. They think deliberately, choose deliberately, build deliberately, not perfectly, but consciously. They understand something most people forget. A meaningful life is rarely built accidentally. The small corrections principle. Recovery does not require dramatic reinvention. Usually it begins with small corrections. Waking up earlier, reducing distraction, rebuilding discipline, thinking long-term again, moving with purpose. Small corrections repeated consistently change direction over time. That is how people reclaim themselves. Final words from Mr. Sticks. Most people do not destroy their lives through one massive decision. They drift away from themselves slowly, one compromise at a time, one distraction at a time, one delay at a time. So here's your directive. Stop asking whether you are comfortable. Start asking whether you are moving intentionally. Because comfort can quietly trap you, while intentionality can slowly rebuild you. And the difference between the two determines who you eventually become. If this made you reflect on where your life has been drifting, sit with that honestly. Awareness is where correction begins. More frameworks are coming, and each one is designed to sharpen not just your finances, but your direction. Stay intentional. Please hit like and subscribe. Shalom.